What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I am back for the first time in a very long time on r/AskReddit, one of the first places that I ever went to on the website to see what people were saying about very interesting questions. Today I've got a relationship based one that honestly is quite pertinent to me at the moment. I'm in a quite new relationship. I've been with my girlfriend for a few months now, and I just came across it last night when browsing Reddit, as I usually do, and it hooked me. So I want to bring it to you guys. The question for today is, for those of you in long-term relationship/marriages, what's a telltale sign you see in other couples that they're not going to make it? Now, I'm not a negative person, especially not when it comes to my relationship, but I can't help but be slightly intrigued to this. And I'm interested to see what people are going to say. I mean, I know that a lot of you listening and watching right now are married, are in very long-term relationships. I'm in a new one. So let's see. Let's see if I agree with what the people of Reddit have to say to this. If you guys in long-term relationships agree as well, it's going to be an interesting one. Let's get into it. Long-term relationships. What are the telltale signs that it's not going to last? Okay, first up, they stop laughing together. Small shared jokes and playful teasing are the glue in long-term relationships. When that disappears, it's usually a warning sign. Somebody replied saying, yeah, recently divorced, and this is an absolute fact. I think that would have to be the case for me as well. I mean, I laugh a lot in general. Those of you that know me well, or some of my friends that are watching this, will know that I'm pretty silly in real life. I make jokes all the time. The vast majority of them, by the way, are terrible. But if you can't laugh with your partner, then, I don't know, it's just a bit sad, isn't it? You need that laughter, and I agree with this. I think it has to continue for the duration of your relationship, or you're in trouble. I subscribe to John Gottman's theory. Okay, I don't know who John Gottman or his theory is and are, but we'll have a look at this. The 4 horsemen are criticism, attacking your partner's character or personality. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Contempt, treating your partner with disrespect, disgust, or superiority, even worse. Defensiveness, refusing to take responsibility, playing the victim, and then stonewalling, shutting down, withdrawing, refusing to engage. I mean, these are pretty obvious, I would say, but they make a lot of sense to me. I mean, the first two, yeah, are just really, really obvious. The third one is interesting, because if you're in that sort of cycle where you don't really take any responsibility for anything that you do, even if you think it's right and your partner says no, it's wrong, like even if you don't take responsibility in that sort of environment to come to some sort of conclusion or like an agreement, and I guess that leads into the fourth one as well, stonewalling, shutting down, withdrawing, refusing to engage, then I think that like that lack of responsibility, that lack of communication is not healthy, and it's probably going to end in the end of the relationship. If every disagreement turns into who's right instead of how do we fix this, it usually doesn't last. I told my ex from the jump, whenever an argument may come, that it's not us against each other, it's us against the problem. I actually read something the other day which I thought was really good. It was a couple that were having some issues in their marriage or, you know, their relationship in general. And they did some counseling, and one thing that the counselor said to them and that they took on board was, when there is a disagreement or an argument, it's important to say, I still love you and we're a team on this, we're not against each other. So of course, like arguments, discussions, debates are going to happen. It's just natural. As long as you're always remembering that you have chosen to be with this person, you're in this together, you're not against each other, I think it's fine. If it becomes like a who's right, as this comment says, then that's just one person against the other. That's not what a relationship is supposed to be. These John Lewis finds... No, that's not one.
Jack, when are you going to grow up and get some sense?
The big thing that seems like a huge problem to me is when I hear someone saying, oh, I'm not allowed to insert innocuous hobby or activity here. My boyfriend or girlfriend would go nuts. One of the things I think is most important in a relationship is respecting your partner's hobbies and the things they like, even if you don't like them yourself. If you can't or won't do that, maybe you're not right for each other. I think that's a natural thing, isn't it? Because if there are loads of things that your partner's doing which you say you don't like, and therefore they say I'm not allowed to do, then it's probably not the best match anyway, because I don't think anyone ever would want to get to the stage where they're telling their partner what they can and can't do. Obviously, that's just controlling. But I do feel like if there are loads of things that your partner is doing which you just do not like, then you can't really do much about that other than say, I don't like you doing those things, which then sounds controlling because ultimately it is. But then you're not being controlling. It's just you have different interests, and some things that you think aren't right, they think are right, etc. Like, ultimately it comes down to the fact that you're not probably right for each other. Fighting in front of others. Yeah, I think that's a pretty obvious one, really, because if you're fighting in front of other people, then who knows what's going on when you're not in front of other people and you're behind closed doors at home or together alone or whatever. That is just a little sort of insight into somebody's relationship. I mean, public fights, it's bad, I think, when a couple are fighting in front of other people. This, or even just condescending jabs in front of others. Yeah, that is obviously slightly less obvious, but it's still along the same sort of lines. If there are condescending jabs in front of others, then what's going on behind closed doors? Somebody said, I know a couple that does this and it's so uncomfortable for everyone else in the room. I mean, that would be the worst. If you are like having jabs with your significant other and it's affecting other people and they're all uncomfortable. I haven't been in that situation very often. I think maybe even ever, but I can't imagine the cringe that everyone else in the room is feeling just looking at these two thinking, what is going on? I do not feel comfortable. Interesting one. Their inability to discuss finances. If you can't communicate finances with your partner, you are effed. Somebody said, yeah, this was my first sign with my LTR of 10 years. I tried to talk about budgeting with her once. We moved into our house together and she just broke down crying and said she couldn't think about it right now. We were never able to resume the conversation because she kept shutting it down. And you can imagine how that went after a year. Yeah, to be honest, that's a big thing for me. I'm super into my own personal finance. I always have been. Not in a I like money way, even though, I mean, I do. But it's just like, I'm just really interested by it. And for me personally, what I do with my money, like where it is, how much of it I have, my sort of workings of how much I'm spending compared to how much I'm earning, like this flat that I've bought, etc. Like doing all the money behind that is such a big deal for me that I think if my partner wasn't willing to have any sort of discussion about money or budgeting or whatever, or, if they felt that I was too into that, and if I felt that they didn't care about budgeting or finances enough, I think that would be a big disconnect. Not saying that I'm right, they're wrong, or the other way around. I just do think that, yeah, you need to either be able to discuss finances together, or, not sure about this, but both be like, oh, okay, we don't really want to talk too much about finances, and that's okay for us. It can work for some people. It's just, I think your relationship with money has to be relatively similar, or you at least need to be able to discuss it. By the way, guys, throughout all of this, if you disagree or agree with me, get in the comments down below, because I'm giving my opinions here. That's sort of the point of this episode. I can't hear you immediately, but get in the comments, because I love hearing what you guys think. And a lot of the time you will tell me that I'm wrong or I've missed the mark, and I learned something. So thank you for that in advance. They don't communicate beyond routine, run-of-the-mill, day-to-day stuff. And even then, only when they need to. Well, yeah, I mean, that's not good, is it? That's a relationship killer, whatever the stage. I've got too many friends getting divorced with I thought we were fine, or things were good. And honestly, nope, things were quiet. And that was because someone in the relationship had given up and was looking for an exit while keeping things level. Thanks to my parents, I got a front row seat to a dysfunctional marriage, followed by a horrific divorce and a bunch of dysfunctional follow-on relationships. And I resolved that when I found my person, I'd learn from watching them F up. I know from a few of my friends, they weren't in super long-term relationships, but 3, 4, 5 years. They thought, or their partner thought, that things were going fine. In reality, one of the couple was sort of already checking out, and perhaps the other one didn't realize, right? And then they get hit by what they feel like is an absolute bomb from out of nowhere of, I'm not enjoying this, I want to break up with you. In reality, perhaps this was the case, right? There was quite a long period of no real communication other than the bog standard stuff. And maybe one person thought that was how it was normally. The other person, though, was checking out and was thinking more deeply about the relationship, but not having that conversation with their partner. Who knows if that's exactly what this is getting at, but I mean, yeah, the obvious point still stands. You've got to be able to communicate more than just, oh, I'm going to get some bread. And don't get me wrong, guys, and I mean this, I'm a massive bread fan. Like, I eat bread a lot, okay? But there's more to relationships than just communicating about bread. Again, look, probably when they can't communicate at all and just avoid talking about problems, it never ends well. Exactly. You can talk about bread as much as you like, but if you can't talk about your problems, then who cares if you're getting wholemeal, 50-50, white bread? It's not relevant. Okay, now this one is really interesting, and it's one that I read last night, and it made me want to do this episode. I honestly can't tell what couples are going to make it and which ones aren't. My husband and I see folks sometimes and say that we're glad we're married to each other instead of in that kind of relationship. But I've known cheaters to stay in their marriage for over 50 years. There's a couple I knew when they first got together. They got into screaming fights every time they went out in public together, but they're still together and seemingly happy over 20 years later. There are times that I've met a couple and thought that one of them was definitely out of the league of the other. More charming, more attractive, better shape financially. Then, after getting to know them for a while, it seems like the good partner is just a polished turd. Okay, a couple of different points in this, for sure. Firstly, I do agree on an actual, like, literal level. You don't 100% know what couples are going to break up and which aren't. Because some people are in semi-toxic relationships, and they do just stay together. Maybe in a way they enjoy it. Maybe it's a bad thing, it's what they're used to, and they just stay together. Other times, yeah, I completely agree with the point that, like, you see a couple that well, this isn't really the point that this person is making. They're making the point that you look at people that, you know, one person seems like generally better, more attractive than the other, but they're actually not that good of a person, and that's why they're together. I'm not 100% sure on that. One thing I would say is, though, sometimes you do see a couple and you think they're great and they always seem great, but actually they're not great. They just don't give off that sort of vibe when you're actually with them. And then on the other hand, couples that, you know, may fight in public, actually that's just them. They're like that as their character. It's part of their relationship and they're actually okay with it. It's a bit of an extreme thing, because I know I said earlier in the video, like, if you're fighting in public, then obviously that's not a good thing, but perhaps it can work for some people. When 10 years into it, they start floating the let's open the marriage discussion. Predictable crash and burn. Yeah, that one is just obvious, and I've read enough stories on Reddit to know that that's obvious, and that doesn't work. A friend of mine just opened their marriage. It'll be rough, someone said. Goodness me. Sorry. If any of you watching right now, and be honest in the comments down below, have been in a marriage and then after 10 years been like, I'm going to open this up. You know what you're doing. You know you don't want to stay in that marriage. It's only a marriage of convenience and not a marriage of love and passion. Let's be realistic. You want to have sex with other people. Ooh, interesting one. They speak negatively about each other to people when they're not around each other. That is super telling. Maybe they're too scared to say it to their faces. But yeah, I mean, if you are bad-mouthing your partner to other people when they're not around, clearly that's not a good sign. At all, is it? Huge wedding they cannot afford. Lots of social media posts of their date night. Lots of random, I love this guy posts. I mean, all the time, not like a special occasion or something. Really possessive of the other one looking at their phone. I never feel the need to snoop through my husband's phone, but if I want to look something up and his phone is right there, it's zero issue for me to grab it and use it. 3 different points here, all interesting. The first one, a huge wedding they cannot afford. Nothing wrong with a huge wedding. There is something wrong with a wedding that you cannot afford in general, though. I'd agree with that. And yeah, you know, a wedding's obviously a huge day in a couple's relationship and life. But if it's gonna massively impact how much money you have to the brink of we have no money left, and therefore it's gonna affect the rest of your life together, then that's not gonna work. The social media post is a really interesting one. I don't know. Some people are obviously really happy in their relationships and wanna tell people and their friends about it. I do agree with this though. Like, if you really were that content and happy, would you feel the need to post it online all the time? Or are you looking for some sort of validation? Are you trying to prove that your relationship is a good one and that you love your partner so much and they love you so much? Because in reality, you're not 100% sure. But again, you're looking for that external validation, or you're trying to make things right in your own head. I don't know. And then the last one, yeah, really possessive of the other one, looking at their phone. Look, I'm not the sort of person that would be like, oh, I would give my phone to my girlfriend and they can look through my entire phone, or like the other way around. I don't think that's a necessary thing to do. Not because I'm hiding anything. I just think like you have your own phone and it's your phone. But again, like if they wanted to look through it, yeah, sure, I don't care. But snooping through someone's phone is obviously not a great thing. Anyway, I wouldn't want that. What am I trying to say? I don't like. There's no issue. There would be no issue for me if my girlfriend wanted to look at my phone and use it for something. But I don't like. Some people are like, yeah, that my partner's got my password. They look through my phone all the time. I probably wouldn't want that because it's kind of weird. Like, I wouldn't want them to like try my clothes on all the time. Again, it's terrible analogy. Let's just move on from this one. Ooh, a big one. One-sided effort. If one partner is always planning, cleaning, compromising, or initiating while the other coasts, it usually signals trouble ahead. This is one thing that I've always had an issue with myself. And it's one of my faults, and I do know this. I think that naturally, I am putting in more effort than someone else in general, when that isn't 100% the case. Now, sometimes it is the case. But I know it's like a fault in me where I don't always fully comprehend the effort that someone else is putting in. But obviously when it's my own effort, I know how much effort I'm putting in, if that makes sense. Because, I mean, I say that. Sometimes I do think that I have put in more effort than other people. But then again, I think sometimes I'm quick to forget what other people have done. And then I only think what I've done. That makes me sound like a terrible person, but I do realise this in my own mind. So let me know in the comments. Are any of you kind of like that, or maybe it's just me? It's not great, but like sometimes I do feel like I'm putting in more effort than somebody else, and this is not to do with my relationship, just in general. Whereas in reality, it's not necessarily the case, but it also might be the case. I don't know. You're really getting my deepest, darkest thoughts in this one, guys. They are different people when you're with either of them alone than they are when they are with their spouse. That is a super interesting one. I would say that I am slightly different when I'm with my girlfriend than when I'm like with my friends, like close friends, because it's just a different dynamic. Like, I've known some of my close friends, my flatmate, for example, for over 25 years now. We have a slightly strange relationship with each other. Not really going to go into it, not in like a weird way, but it's like just because we've known each other for so long and we know everything about each other, we can just be quite weird with each other. Just like, this is my group of friends. And some of the conversations that we have are probably not conversations that I'd have with my girlfriend. And I'd probably say that I am slightly calmer when I'm with my girlfriend only compared to with them. But I think I'm not a different person. It's just a different sort of side of me. Now, it can be the other way with both sets of people. You can tell I've been thinking about this, right, just in general. But that doesn't mean that I'm a different person with either my girlfriend or my friends. I just think I have like different sides to me, and I think that's fine, isn't it? I don't know. Let's continue. Friends that come over and play cards with me and act one way, but then when we're out as couples, act another way. They don't make it because they aren't being real with their spouse. I'm not saying you can't tell a guy's joke with just the guys, but when your entire personality shifts, it's not a good sign. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, because I would say a guy's joke when I'm just with the guys. My entire personality is not shifting. So yeah, I think that's a good little leveler there. Also, when they female dog B-word about their spouse. I'm not saying it's not okay to vent to a friend or ask for advice from time to time, but if every time we're hanging out, you have to go and get a bunch of stuff about your spouse off your chest, you're not talking to them about it, it's okay to ask for some outside counsel, but if you're regularly needing to vent about stuff at home in regards to your spouse, you are not dealing with those issues with them, and it's going to go somewhere bad. Yeah, completely agree with that. And that's where we're going to leave it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. I didn't really think I'd talk as much about myself in that one as I did, and maybe I've overstepped the mark a little bit by talking a little bit too much about my own thoughts. But I think I've said this a few times on the channel. Some of my favorite YouTubers of all time who inspired me to start YouTube: Joe Weller, one of them; True Geordie, another one. These are the two that stand out to me. The reason why I love those guys so much and their content so much is because they were always and have always been so open, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, whether I agree with them or disagree with them, about their thoughts and their lives and their sort of minds and what they're thinking about. They don't hide anything. That's why I like it. So hopefully this was a little bit like that, and you can either judge whether you liked it or not, and let me know in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one.